Okay, the focus of Chapter 6 is percents. So what we're going to do in just 6.1 is you're going to practice converting from between a percent and a decimal, and then going from a decimal to a percent. And there are two ways you can do each. So let's start here with a percent to a decimal. The first thing that you can do is just divide by 100 and then remove the percent symbol. So for example, and I'm going to do my work down in this box area just because it's easier for me with my messy handwriting. So I have the number 23.7%. And one way I can convert from a percent to a decimal is simply just do 23.7 divided by 100. And that's going to give me an answer of 0.237. So that's one way to do it. Okay, that's your first way. Now your second way is simply to move the decimal point 2 places to the left. So you see that? The left. It's really important that you remember that. So if you're going from a percent to a decimal, you move it 2 places to the left. So let's go ahead at this number again. We have 23.7%. And I am simply going to move my decimal place 2 to the left. So I go ahead, there's 1, and there's 2. So my new decimal place goes here, and you can see that that is in front of the 2, so it's 0.237. Okay, let's try the next example. So we have percent to decimal. Again, we're looking at this percent to this decimal, and I'm only going to show you the second way this time just because I think it's easier, but I wanted you to see both. So I'm starting with, I have 2%, and I want to change that into a decimal. So I simply am going to move it, the decimal place, 2 to the left. But if you look here, you're like, there is no decimal place. If there is no decimal place, you just assume it's right after the number, okay? So we have our 2% is written as 2 point, and you can, that's it. Now I need to move my decimal place 2 to the left. So I have my 2, and I'm going to move the decimal place 2 to the left. So I go 1 and 2. And you can see here that there is an empty space. And what you do with that empty space is you simply put a 0 in. So 2% as a decimal is 0.02. Okay, so make sure that you put this answer and this answer on the line. Okay, now we are going to practice going from a decimal to a percent. So our number starts as a decimal and then it goes to a percent. Again, there are 2 ways to do this. The first one you can see is you multiply by 100 and then add your percent symbol in. So if you look right here, I have the number 0.775. I multiply that by 100, and I simply get 77.5, and then I add in my percent sign. And so 0.775 is my decimal, and that converts to 77.5 as a percent. So that's the first way to do it. Now the second way to do it, you can see, is you move the decimal point 2 places to the right. So this is the right, you see that? So decimal to percent, it's 2 to the right, and percent to decimal, it's 2 to the left. Okay, so if I look right here, I have my decimal is 0.775, and I simply move my decimal place 2 to the right. So 1, 2. So I can see the new decimal point goes there, so my answer is 77.5%. Okay? Now I'm going to show you how to do that for 0.29. And so I have the number 0.29. I move my decimal 2 to the right, 1, 2. You can see my new decimal goes there, so it's 29%. Go ahead and put these on the line and make sure that you showed some work so you know what you're doing next time, okay? Now that you've finished this video and these notes, you can go ahead and do the next task on the Schoology 6.1 folder.